Hello and welcome back to McClaren Performance for an episode today about Manchester United finally winning a game of football. I'm going to talk about everything tactics, psychology, and explain what this means for the team going forward. So yeah, obviously I managed to get to Man United versus Liverpool and it was a class game. Got to watch Dad just before, give his warm-up, everything like that. Saw him go and talk to Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher and Roy Keane, which was pretty weird to see. But yeah, even after that, the game itself, from the off straight away, it was just a great game to watch. I mean, first off, it was just interesting to see some changes. Having Malaysia on the wing, a new centre-back pairing with Martinez and Varane, that was fantastic to see. Having Elanga up front, something I wasn't expecting to see either. I was expecting Martial to start really when I didn't hear about Ronaldo playing. But I mean, all those doubts or anything like that really changed from the first minute when you could see the intensity from the team. And really, I think in the first 20 minutes, what you could see is exactly what Ten Hag wants the team to do, which is press and press a team up high and cause them problems in that way. I think against Liverpool of all teams, I think that's a really hard thing to do for 90 minutes. I saw Ten Hag talk about how against Brentford he wanted De Gea to play a lot of long balls, and watching that game you could see him clearly do that. Specifically, you play those long balls to the left hand side. You feel a bit sorry for Trent, but not really, because he was playing so poor, and really you could see Man United exploit that defence. I mean, when you watch the first goal back, the pace of Trent Alexander-Arnold, the lack of effort, I don't know what he's doing or what he's thinking to let Elanga just run all over him like that. It made Elanga look fantastic, and I can't tell whether Elanga was fantastic or if Trent just really did not do his job at all. I think what is the most interesting though is really the psychological differences between the team just 2 games ago in the last 2 games and compared to how they performed in this one. A lot of people talk about they showed real fight and desire. I think they did, but I think what they showed more was an understanding of the plan and what they were meant to do, and really had a belief in what they were doing also. One thing I saw a lot and quite a few times was instances where players would make mistakes or lose a ball or whatever that was, but then you would see players run and recover and make up for that mistake. And it's something I talked about before, being able to just handle making a mistake and then being able to recover from it, where I think in the past Man United players would make a mistake and fall into a kind of, oh, not this again, and really believing that they're not good enough instead of just compensating for those little mistakes. Another noticeable difference for me was just the amount of communication. I really looked at Fernandes, Eriksen. I thought they were fantastic at communicating all the time. Everyone talks about the fight and the drive and everything like that. What fascinates me the most is just that they executed a plan and communicated and worked together for 90 minutes. My big concern watching that game was Liverpool attacking, and you could see the goal coming the entire time, because despite the amount of bodies that Man United thrown in front of that ball, you knew it was eventually just going to go into that net. I mean, when it did, it was fantastic to see that they still carried on executing the plan, still carried on fighting, didn't crumble like I think they have done many times before. And you can really see they are starting to learn and develop and understand the tactical aspect of how they want to play and understand really that it works. There's a lot of conversation, say when I was watching Gary Neville talk about, he wasn't expecting that from those players, assuming that they were, I think, a certain type of people, as if they didn't want to run, they didn't want to play, they didn't want to win. But for me, I think it's just much more simple than that. It is just understanding a plan, understanding how Erik Ten Hag wants to play and having a belief in that. And I hate the term when people talk about this in terms of turning a corner. All right, the team has now turned a corner and they'll be all right now. Within that, people are saying, all right, we've done the work now to get to that point and now it'll be okay, we're there now. But the reality is that that's one performance in a rivalry, really, where you expect a team to come out fighting like that. That is something now that needs to be repeated again and again and again. And those standards still need to be maintained. It's still a process, and it's still a matter of consistency. You look over those 3 games and you see aspects in which you can see they can play in that way, in that Erik Ten Hag way. You can see the fight and desire in it, but you can also see an inconsistency where they have made mistakes and then dropped from that and then not performed. I think Rashford is a fantastic example of that. 2 games, non-existent. Third game, especially in the second half, back exactly where he was before. There is no reason he should lack belief in himself. You can absolutely do that any game. When Rashford is running, when the team is running, I think as a whole, they look fantastic as a counter-attacking team. And in many ways, that's why they really do suit Erik ten Hag's way of playing, because it's all about running. And you saw the amount of running that Man United did in that game. If they did do these runs in training because of the Brentford game, and apparently Ten Hag joined in with that as well, I think that's a fantastic bit of management. If it is true, you could see that translate onto the pitch against Liverpool. You could see the desire, understanding, the belief in what they were doing. Even though the process is important, it definitely is, the result is so important also. I always talk about it like a two-way relationship. Yes, you have the process, you've got to put those standards in place to get the results, but you also need the results every now and again to give the belief to the players, to the staff, to everybody else, to then build that environment. So it works both ways, and a result like this absolutely helps build toward that. Like I said, this nowhere near means that I think Manchester United are there with time, with building, with work. You can gain consistency in playing like that. Can they do it against Southampton? Can they show that same desire? They just have to run like they did and execute a plan for 90 minutes just like they did, regardless of what happens. It shows exactly what Ten Hag was looking at in pre-season, and what we talked about before, really reacting to the game against Brighton. It's one thing playing and seeing that and being able to play that Ten Hag way in pre-season. It's another thing doing it in the pressure of the league in front of Old Trafford fans. It's taken 3 games to kind of get the nerves, the fear away from it, and for them to understand exactly how they want to play. And so now it's important that they build on that and keep building that consistency. I don't think we're going to see it bam again and again, game after game. Now I'd be really happy if I did see that, but I still think there's teething problems. I still think there's changes. You look at Liverpool, and even though they weren't great on that day in the past 3 games, really, you still look at a more complete team. You can see they've played for 5 years. I mean, even in attack, they look so threatening. Manchester United, Erik ten Hag needs time to build that. I've never doubted that Manchester United could get to that place where they'll be playing that Ten Hag way and they'll be winning trophies and doing everything under Ten Hag. The doubt and the question is always how long it will take, because with the media and the noise around everything, if you lose against Liverpool, if you lose maybe 1 or 2 after that, it's very easily you then lose your job and you don't get to implement exactly what you want to do. If you're guaranteed that longevity and you only get that with results, then you can actually build something. I think with Casemiro coming in, that's going to make such a big difference as well. I don't know how he plays. I don't understand the player that well, but to have a player that comes in with a lot of experience, especially being a CDM as well, which is exactly what they need. I think you'll see more consistency in the team because of him being there. You can already see the belief in the team already, and it's hard to tell if it's a change in personnel or whatever, or just really the development of the team as a whole. But you could see a lot more belief and understanding in what they were doing, a want to take risks. I mean, the last few games, they weren't playing those long balls. They weren't playing the ball forward, taking those risks in fear of making mistakes. But to just put that aside and do it in a game and play those balls regardless of what happens, I think it is fantastic and it works, and you could see it against Liverpool. But yeah, those are my thoughts really. It's not fantastic. Manchester United is back where it belongs, but really the process continues, and it's important not to get too low with the lows or too high with the highs. You've got to take the lessons from the past 3 games and move forward. What is needed now is more consistency in executing that and doing exactly what they did against Liverpool. Can they take that forward and do it again and again? I think there'll be stumbling blocks still, but I believe they can do that. Let me know in the comments, do you agree? Do you not agree with everything that I have to say? What are your thoughts? Is this a turning point, or is there still a lot more work to do? Thank you for watching and listening. If you could like and subscribe, that would be fantastic. If you're listening, leave a 5-star review on whatever it is you're listening to it on. And yeah, that's everything from me. And yeah, I'll see you on Friday.